The roadblocks podcast.
You know, you can give someone $1 million and that doesn't make a business.
No.
Right? The mindset of the person receiving the money is more important than the amount of money.
My guest today is Skye LaJaunie. She's a powerhouse entrepreneur, CEO of LaJaunie's Pest Control, one of the fastest growing service businesses in the Southeast. Skye transformed a small town operation into a $10 million industry leader, making the Inc. 5000 list twice, earning a spot on the PCT Top 100, and capturing Best in Business honors 6 times over the past decade.
I find the entrepreneurs that hit a lot of glass ceilings have a mindset that says, me first, and then that keeps you in a small frame because you think, well, why would I pay someone else to do that? Why am I going to hire a salesman? I'm great at sales. But when you get out of that mindset and you start thinking about creating opportunities for other people and living out a different purpose on a larger scale, your think becomes larger. That's the catalyst for another level of success. And you start wanting to create a vision that's so big that everybody else's vision fits inside of it, then you really can attach your purpose and your identity in that. When you can increase your mental capital, that's worth more than an extra $100,000 to use in a month. Then you have the ability to create and strategize money.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Bug Bucks podcast. I'm your host, Allan Draper. Just very grateful to be with you today. I know you're running around in a million different directions. Trust me, I know the feeling. I was there, and I hope that I know that our episode today will make your time investment worth it. So thank you so much. Make sure that you're a member of our Bug Bucks Facebook group. Just go to Facebook, type in Bug Bucks, BUGBUX, and request to join our owners exclusive group. We have multiple posts a day. We talk about everything from vendors to how to deal with technicians in there. And there's folks that are just getting started, our solopreneurs, all the way up to 10, 20, 30 million in annual revenue plus. So make sure to join us there. Also, if you're not a subscriber to Bug Bucks Plus, you got to get on that. Go to bugbucksplus.com. We have some amazing courses that are exclusive to the Bug Bucks Plus community. And we also have vendor deals that you can only get if you're a Bug Bucks Plus member. So make sure to check that out. Really excited about our episode. Let's get into it today. So my guest today is Skye LaJaunie. She's a powerhouse entrepreneur and the unapologetically bold CEO of LaJaunie's Pest Control, one of the fastest growing service businesses in the Southeast. Skye transformed a small town operation into a $10 million industry leader, making the Inc. 5000 list twice, earning a spot on the PCT Top 100, and capturing Best in Business honors 6 times over the past decade. What an impressive resume and background, Skye. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Allan. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm really excited to be here with you today and looking forward to having some great conversation.
Awesome.
And thank you for the beautiful introduction, by the way.
Of course.
I give homage to ChatGPT, which writes the best bios ever.
You know, sometimes it's hard for us to brag about ourselves, which is funny because we can be really quick to say something bad about ourselves. When somebody's like, hey, Allan, I need a bio, it's like, oh my gosh, I always pawn it off on somebody else because I feel weird. I don't know if it's our culture or whatever, but you know, some of the stuff that we say to ourselves, at least me, I have really bad imposter syndrome. I don't always show it. You know, I usually have this facade of confidence and strength. It's like when I'm alone with my thoughts, I'm like, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. And someday I'm going to mess this all up so bad, I'm not going to be able to fix it. So,
wow. I love that you're so transparent. But yes, to your point, it is so uncomfortable to talk kindly about yourself or talk about all of the things you've accomplished. It just, I think society-wise, it's just kind of cheesy. But honestly, why don't we celebrate our successes and wins more as entrepreneurs? Why don't we do that? Why aren't we encouraging each other on and being wowed by one another's grit and power through and all of the things that we've been able to do? I mean, why shouldn't we celebrate ourselves and one another? Right? I mean, wouldn't that be so wonderful and refreshing? But it does feel a little uncomfortable to brag about yourself. And so or to celebrate yourself. And I love that you led with the imposter syndrome conversation. That is one of the things I think I admire most about your brand and your platform of what you're doing in the industry is that you always come so straight from the heart. And I remember when you came and spoke to my peer group. It's probably been over a year ago now. And I asked you to just come and pour into us and share some of your sage wisdom. And I asked you a question and you answered it like with the deepest transparency, like with your whole emotion. You just put it all out there and like you didn't really know us in the group. And I was like, wow, this guy is the real deal. Like you're not holding back on anything.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. And I remember when I presented to that group, and by the way, that was an impressive group, and I thought it was really cool. And I'm not going to say a lot about it because I don't know what's public and what's not, but these folks, just kind of set the table, these folks put together, and I don't know who started, I don't remember the details, but it was this networking group of like-minded pest control owners, and they do these events regularly where they just come together in person. I was the only person that wasn't physically there, and they just like build each other up. And there is so much in the world. So I'm originally an attorney. I came into the bug world, and the bug world is really cool about helping each other out. You know, attorneys, some of them can be this zero-sum game mentality, like, hey, if I help you, it's going to hurt my business. But man, I thought that was so cool. I bragged about that several times in different venues about this group, and they're just like, there's, from what I understand, you weren't charging each other. It wasn't like this revenue play where you guys just wanted to get together to share your thoughts and build some, momentum with your companies. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah. We've been meeting for a couple of years together now, and we're kind of like a family, and we've gotten very close. We have a group text we're active in. We support each other. We do that celebrating each other thing, and we hold each other accountable. It's yeah, and it was just a very organic thing, and I've been facilitating the group, and I actually took that model and I'm expanding it. I partnered with another member of my peer group, Maria Sarantino, and she has Pest Pros of Michigan. And we're going to start expanding and doing that more for the industry, and creating more community within the pest control industry. And yeah, we're actually taking on new members within our peer group cohort right now. So super exciting. It's called Eagles Nest. Eagles Nest Mastermind is what we've named our group. Yeah.
Okay, so and the Eagles Nest, is that both the group that you had before and the new cohort?
So no. So the group that you came and so kindly contributed to, it was just the organic, natural group that started and that we made community. And it's just been so successful. It's been so impactful on every member of the group, including myself. So we're just taking the formula that we're using and we're expanding that and creating more groups, because I was getting approached all of the time on a regular basis about, hey, can I come and join your group? Can I come in and participate and learn? And of course, we kind of limit the group to about 10 members, because once you get beyond that, you lose a level of intimacy, and then every person doesn't have the ability to really contribute and get the level of benefit, because we do a lot of data, we do benchmarking, we do accountability in the group, we do a lot of sharing. And so I didn't want to make it more than 10 people, but then I was like thinking to myself, why shouldn't I start helping people more and take this really successful process of facilitation that I created and do it for other people? And so yeah, that's how the Eagles Nest was born. And where I actually, we're up to a couple of groups, and yeah, I'm just enjoying it. Just really, really enjoying it.
That's so cool. There's so much value that comes from having those tight-knit communities. I mean, pest control generally is, we're friends. We go to Pest World, or we go to, Bug Bucks. We had a conference back in March, and we threw it together, my partners and I, and honestly, my partners did most of the work. I was asked to speak there. They were all asked to speak. We threw it together in like 2 weeks or something, and it was incredible. There's something about like the connection. I think, when I started my first business, and maybe this is just me, and by the way, I just published my first book, and I talk about this in my book. This idea that like when you start a business, there's like this entire, it's almost like you're born again. You're like a baby, and you're like, oh, okay, like I'm going to start this business and I'm going to be rich, and it's like, at least for me, like along the way, it's like, okay, when I quit the law, started the pest control company, I did it for 2 reasons. This is 11 years ago. I did it to, so I could have more control over my time and more control over my money. I immediately had less of both. And I was like, wait, what? Right? Because now I don't have one boss. Now I have like all of my customers, all of my employees, all of my vendors vying for my time. And I definitely had a lot less money in the beginning. So like as I've kind of grown up, like, entrepreneurial speaking in the pest control industry, I'm learning so much about how it's like the journey, right? I don't care if it's cliche. I know it's cliche. Like people talk about this all, but that's true for me. And maybe it's cliche because it's true. But it's like, man, those communities, like the people that are in the industry, it's so important to me. We've built Bug Bucks. I started Bug Bucks, and it wasn't called Bug Bucks. It was called Start and Grow Your Pest Control Company. I started it in like May or something of COVID, 2020. And the reason why I started it is because I was afraid. My business was 6 years old. I was afraid. I was scared. I didn't know what to do, but I wanted community. I wanted connection because everybody was work from home. You barely saw anybody. If you did, you had to use all these wipes and masks and stuff. And it's like, I wanted connection. And now we're 5,100 PCO strong across the United States, multiple countries outside the United States. And it's that exact thing. I'm going to be honest with you. So I have businesses where I make really, really good money. I own a law firm and I make really good money. I own a pest control company. I make really good money. Bug Bucks and my pest control efforts in the community, I do not. I'm just telling you, my book, net loss, right? And what is it? Why am I telling you that? Because I see the value in community, and it sounds like you do too.
Yeah, I think we're kind of kindred in that we really not only do we grow our businesses but we actually care about the industry and the people in the industry. And that's something I really love about Bug Bucks is, you're using your phenomenal and amazing success at proof, and you're creating this platform and to elevate the entire industry. And I just believe all ships rise with a high tide, right? So if we contribute to one another, and make the industry more successful and help one another have better business practices, better business acumen, right? And support each other, we're all just getting better together, right? But also you had said, that you make more money through your other businesses. You make the least amount of money through your platform where you're really serving and helping people. But I can tell, and I just like intuitively know this, that you enjoy the Bug Bucks more than anything else.
I really do. I there's these things, and what I'm trying to do is like replicate it within the businesses where I make money. And what I mean by that is like, how am I contributing to those companies in the way that I want to? Because I don't have to. Like, I have people that run day-to-day operations and stuff like that. And I just love the pest control industry and I love the people in it. Last night I was setting up chairs at a church, and I had my son with me, my 13-year-old son. And it was kind of, I wasn't super happy to be there. I had a million things going on. My wife is sick, like really, really sick right now. And I'm setting up chairs for this church. And this guy comes up to me and he's like, "You're Allan Draper, right?" And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, my name's so-and-so, and I own so-and-so pest control company here in the Valley. And I've been wanting to meet you for a while. And I was like, I will make $0 from that. And that is one of the coolest things that has happened to me. And that's it. I'm like, hey, well, nice to meet you, man. I'm glad that you're part of the group. And, that was it. And I think, so there was this point where I was barely making ends meet with my pest control company. And then something happened. And I started making some really good money. And then one day I was in my office and it was like the afternoon. My phone wasn't ringing. I wasn't really getting any emails and stuff was just cruising along. And I had texts all over multiple states. And I was like, I could go home right now. It was like 2:00 in the afternoon, 3:00, something like that. I'm like, I could go home right now and not come back and very few people would know. And so I did it. I went home and then I woke up in the morning and I was sitting there and I'm like, I don't have to go to work today. Something big is on the horizon. After years of research, planazoline technology from Syngenta is coming soon as the first new active ingredient and mode of action in the pest control industry in over 2 decades. Upon EPA registration, this solution will offer broad spectrum control, a non-repellent, non-pyrethroid formulation, and application flexibility, making it a powerful tool for resistance management. Be the first to know when it is registered in your state. Make sure to visit syngentapmp.com/planazoline to learn more. That's /PLINAZOLIN. Check it out. And I was sitting there and I'm like, I don't have to go to work today. And so I didn't go in and nothing happened. And then like 9, 10, 11 o'clock rolled around and I'm like, nah, I'm going to go into work. And so I go into work and it was this moment where I'm like, and there weren't all these fires I had to put out. It's like everybody was fine. Everybody was safe. I was working in an office inside of our call center at the time. And I'm like, I don't have to work for money anymore. And it was at that moment where I got really, really good at what I do because I was doing it for a different reason. I told you before that like when I started pest control, I wanted control over my time, control over my money. And it was like so misplaced, but I get it, right? That's what, we're in business to make money. We have employees, all this stuff. So there's nothing wrong with that, but it was just a little misguided. And then I got to that point where I'm like, man, I don't have to do this anymore. I could do whatever I want. And what did I want to do? I wanted to continue like building businesses and stuff. So I don't know. It was kind of this moment where I was like, when I didn't have to do it anymore, I'm like, I realized like, I kind of doubled down on my why. And not that it's easy. I still have all the speed bumps, but that everybody does, but it's different. I know you felt that probably at some point in your career.
Absolutely, because I think most entrepreneurs, they want to have financial freedom. They want to have time freedom, fill in the blank. I mean, entrepreneurs, we're kind of crazy and weird. We're a different breed of human, right? We think we should be in charge. We value autonomy, all those things, right? But at some point, when you get to the goals that you thought were going to be like, wow, I can have this many employees, I can have this much revenue, I can have these many offices, or drive this car, or I see you have sneakers back there, buy this many sneakers, right? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
We call that a sneakerhead in New Orleans, but sneaker collections. Yes. So you get all the stuff, right? And you check all the boxes, and then you kind of go on a different journey where you start to go, well, what's the purpose of all of this? Right? And then that becomes really introspective. And then you find out what you really love, because the drive of it. And here's another weird thing. I find the stuff that I've accomplished, and none of that stuff really mattered. I mean, it mattered because I had something to prove to myself, right? That I had what it took to accomplish X dream, right? And then when I got there, I was like, oh, this is it. This is it. I don't know if you relate to this, but that's kind of how I felt. I felt like, okay, this was kind of anticlimactic, It didn't feel the way I thought it was going to feel. And then that's when I started having other conversations about, well, what do I really enjoy about work and business? And then I realized my purpose was to create opportunities for other people to realize their highest potential. And business was just a container where I was living out my purpose.
Mm.
Right? Because all of my employees, my team, the people I lead, that's why I love to scale the business. And I always want to scale the business faster, because the faster I scale the business, the faster I can create these opportunities for people to move up, challenge themselves, grow, bring greater people, more talented people on the team. And that elevates everyone on the team. And I think about all the lives that have been changed through the story of the business. And, I love it. Like, I get so excited if I drive into one of the parking lots of one of my offices and I see like a bunch of really nice cars. Like, I see like one of the leaders there buys a Cadillac. Like, I get excited that they can buy
Yeah.
a Cadillac, because what I just did is I created a container where they got to realize some of their own goals. Right. And so once you create that for yourself, then you start wanting to create that for other people. And I think platforms like BugBucks and what I'm doing with the Eagles Nest Mastermind peer groups is really just a continuation of the purpose of wanting to contribute to other people and improve their lives, right? Because getting stuff or getting money or having really great intros like the one you shared for me, that and having accomplishments, it doesn't feel so good. I think this is like, I think business is a spiritual game, and this is making me think of the scripture where it says it's more blessed to give than to receive.
Yeah.
It just feels better to know that you're contributing to other people and you're not just getting all this stuff or getting your own goals or getting yourself serving, right? And so I think if you get into that, I think the best entrepreneurs operate and work in that mindset, and that's why they're so successful. I find the entrepreneurs that hit a lot of glass ceilings have a mindset and a thinking that says, me first, I got to get me. And then that keeps you in a small frame, right? Because you think, well, why would I pay someone else to do that? Why am I going to hire a salesman? I'm great at sales. Why am I going to hire this next person to replace myself? That would just cost more money, and I'm already making X money, right? But when you get out of that mindset and you start thinking about creating opportunities for other people and living out a different purpose on a larger scale, your think becomes larger. Therefore, your business and everything else around you becomes bigger. And you start wanting to create a vision that's so big that everybody else's vision fits inside of it. And then when you start getting into that place and you really can attach your purpose and your identity in that, and not necessarily in the accomplishment or the achievement or the car you want to buy or all that other cool stuff that we put on our minds, right? Once you can get connected into that, and I think that creates a momentum that's the catalyst for another level of success.
No, completely. So I talk a lot about how there's this financial journey that entrepreneurs and other people follow too. And you'll notice as I kind of go through it, like if you think of like celebrities, like where they are on it, well, we know where most of them are now just because of their status. But in the beginning, we're just trying to survive, right? And I was a psychology major in college, and there's this well-known idea, Abraham Maslow came up with the hierarchy of needs. And basically it's like this survival, like we need to be able to breathe before we're worried about, how good our food tastes, right? And so in the beginning, the entrepreneur is just trying to keep the lights on. So they're just trying to survive, put food on the table, keep the lights on. And then after a while, most individuals, not everybody, but they go through this phase where they are concerned about their appearance or some luxuries in life. Okay, so they go from I'm trying to survive to now I'm trying to enjoy the good stuff, right? What they think is the good stuff at that phase. And I followed straight through this path. Then step 3 or phase 3 is the freedom. It's like, oh wow, like I can do whatever I want pretty much whenever I want, with a few exceptions. And then after that, we get bored and we're like, well, what else is left? And the last step is legacy. So we think of a lot, like think of Bill Gates. He followed that exact same thing, right? And different people spend different times in the phases, right? There's no like textbook thing, period of time or whatever. It's just we start a business, we try to keep the lights on, we try to keep our bills paid. Then we're like, oh, okay, I can afford an extra truck or better equipment or a nicer car or a bigger house. And then it's like, okay, what else, right? And then it's like, well, now I have freedom, control over my time. And then that last phase is, what's our legacy? And one of my favorite quotes is, our goal in life shouldn't be to live forever, right? There's that guy, I don't know if you've heard about him, I can't remember his name, but there's a Netflix documentary about how he's actually trying to live forever. You should check it out. It's kind of weird, but except for that, dude, our goal shouldn't be to try to live forever. Our goal should be to try to create something that does. And how do we do that? Well, we do it through other people. Because like you guys, and I want to get into the Eagles Nest and talk about that. But as you impact the lives of others, there's this trickle-down effect or ripple effect, whatever you want to call it, where it's like, okay, I'm going to do something for somebody else, and they're going to pass it on, or it's going to affect other lives. And eventually we're gone, right? But what we do, as long as it's outside of ourselves, if we keep it to ourselves, it dies with us. If we share it with others, then it lives on. And I think that's legacy for me. It's like, yeah, I've been able to have some nice success. But so what, right? How does that impact the lives of those around us? And, just gives a lot of perspective.
So your goal is immortality through legacy.
I think that's so awesome. One time I'm trying to remember who it was, but he was being inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame, or Professional Football Hall of Fame, I should say. And he said, we become immortal because our bust, the thing, their face is there forever. And then they're also talking about not just themselves, but their teammates and the people that come after them, that use them for motivation, or they learn from them. And in football, there's, this idea of a coaching tree, right? And one of my favorite coaches of all time is a guy named Lavelle Edwards, and his coaching tree is crazy. So what that means is, who are the people that he trained and passed his legacy on to? Well, there's lots of NFL Super Bowl winning coaches. Andy Reid is part of Lavelle Edwards. A lot of people don't know that. They know Andy Reid, but they don't know Lavelle Edwards. And it's like, well, without Lavelle Edwards, there's no Andy Reid, right? Kansas City Super Bowl winning head coach, right? Mike Holmgren from the Green Bay Packers, Andy Reid, comes from Lavelle Edwards. So let's talk growth, real aggressive growth. If your company's already doing $1 million or more in revenue, but you're feeling stuck, it might be time for you to call in somebody who plays at your level. Pest is the marketing agency built for ambitious pest control operators. They work exclusively with companies doing $1 million plus because that's where their playbook works best. Their clients don't just improve, they scale. 3 of them are actually now on the top PCT 100 list. One wasn't even on the radar a year ago. Another moved up 3 positions. Pesty doesn't chase impressions or fluff metrics. They build campaigns that generate qualified leads, own local search, and push serious operators to the front of the pack. So if you're tired of just getting by with your lead flow, visit pestymarketing.com. That's Pesty, Pesty marketing.com. Pesty's not your vendor, they're your growth engine. Can we switch gears just real quick and let's talk about the Eagles Nest? I want to know all about it. I want to know like how it came about. Sounds like it came from the group that we were talking about earlier. Like what are the goals? I want to spread the word and help grow this cohort that you're building right now. Who are you looking for? Who can apply? How do they do that? Let's hear all about it.
So great. Yeah, sure. So the whole vision and purpose of the Eagles Nest community is that we have 100 joyful entrepreneurs in our community that are managing multi-million-dollar businesses. And we basically have a couple of different tiers of groups within the cohort. So because when you're in different revenue levels and different growth stages, you have different problems that are
Yeah.
more urgent to solve. And so we have our group of people that are, sub 1 million. And then we have our group of people that are stacking from 3 to 5. And then we have a mixed group of people who are 3 million and above. We curate people within the groups intentionally. So of course we want to make sure we have non-competes. We don't have people in the same group that are going to be in competing markets. So we're all very comfortable to share. And because you are going to share quite a bit within the group, we benchmark, we pull up our P&Ls, we share data, and if one company is performing better than the other, we like to talk about what's going on there. A lot of people in our groups come in and they know very little about their P&Ls. And some of our members are learning how to read a P&L for the first time, or maybe they understood how to read the P&L, but they didn't understand how to make data-based decisions. So that's a really, I find that's a big game changer for people, especially as we go through the benchmarking exercises. They begin to really think about their P&L as a CEO would. Right. Instead of, because look, we're blue collar industry, pest control people. We're not very sophisticated folks. We're getting the job done. And so Eagles Nest is a great, friendly, blue collar approach to learning how to increase your business acumen. So that's a big focus, especially on our people who are sub 1 million or just going to crack the 1 million mark. We're really teaching them how to get over a mindset of scaling, right? Because how it's so difficult. It's so difficult to get from 1 person to 5. I honestly believe through my entrepreneurial journey, it's just as difficult to get from 1 to 5 as it is to get from 20 to 65. It's that, even though it's on a much smaller scale, because you're having to shift through so many ways of thinking. To bounce back on what you said about the hierarchy of needs and the process of how you're going through the entrepreneurial journey. And so I actually have a slightly different perspective on it, and it's something that we talk about within Eagles Nest. And basically, if you understand that hierarchy of needs and you understand that cycle of the growth of an entrepreneurial mind and getting to scale, and you can see someone else walk and live that out, you can actually skip some of those parts of the cycle and just jump forward. Right? If you have mentorship, if you have community and you go, oh yeah, I've been there. Let me tell you how to get through this part fast. So my husband and my business partner, my best friend in the world, best guy in the world, we've been married 27 years. He has this thing he taught me, and I go back to it very often. He says the fastest way to get through hell is straight through. And so when you're having difficulties and you're having a hard time, leaning into that and having a community and a mentorship can bring you through those stages so much faster. And in many cases, I've gotten to see other entrepreneurs skip whole parts of that cycle and just jump right into accelerating and growing very quickly. And what happens is when we become part of a community and we experience mentorship and we experience genuine connection through learning, and we have trusting bonds, not only are we mentally healthier and better leaders, we begin to grow as leaders, and we begin to grow our mental grit and our mental strength. And then when we become better, by default, the people we attract become better, the talent becomes better, our ability to grow our business and handle stress becomes better. And that's the perfect formula. To me, that's just as important as having capital in business, right? When you can increase your mental capital, that's worth more than an extra $100,000 to use in a month, in my opinion, because then you have the ability to create and strategize money, right? Versus someone giving money. And I know you do venture capital and investments. You can give someone $1 million and that doesn't make a business.
No.
Right? The mindset of the person receiving the money is more important than the amount of money, because we've seen this test study in real world. We've seen people bootstrap a business that knew very little to nothing about business. and create multi-million-dollar empires. And we've seen people receive $1 million from venture capital and blow that crap up, right? And it's a total
Yeah.
failure. And so what the focus of Eagles Nest is building people's mental and emotional capacity to lead while simultaneously having the supportive community and learning important business acumen like interpreting your P&L, like having conversations. Like one of the things that kind of low-key bugs me about our industry is that I'll walk into a lot of different industry groups, be it locally or national level, and I'll always hear business owners talking about maybe technical aspects, right? Like about, and not, look, in technical excellence, I mean, you can't have a great business without technical excellence. But, and I also feel like so much of what is fed in our industry is based around technical excellence and not around business,
Yeah.
both at local and national levels. And I think like communities that are focusing and helping people expand their business knowledge and their business acumen and their mindsets around business and business creation, those communities are delivering the highest amount of value because that's an area of information in our industry that's underserved. And so that is the heartbeat of Eagles Nest Mastermind, right? And so not that we don't talk about anything technical. It's just not a focus of the group. The focus of the group is a total development and then having that community around you to say, oh God, I had this happen today. I mean, building a business is such an emotional roller coaster, right? I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to be betrayed. Someone's going to steal from you. Someone's going to lie to you. Someone's going to misrepresent themselves. Someone is going to sue you multiple times, right?
Yeah.
Like you're going to face all of these things that create this like intense like situation in your nervous system, right? And if you don't have enough support and you're growing very fast, this could happen to you multiple times in a day. And I've met some entrepreneurs and they're like, yeah, I'm a little dead inside because they've just had to turn off whatever that thing is so that they can function and lead through it. And so that becomes a very dangerous place to be. And when entrepreneurs have community and they can call someone or text someone and be like, man, I just got this lawsuit, or shit, my best manager like walked out this door today and I don't know what I'm going to do. Like to have someone to actually talk to and hear someone be able to say that happened to me. You're going to get through this, right? Do this, not that. Take a breath, calm down, like that's invaluable. That's invaluable. And successful people have access to that. The most successful people that are really able to scale past, the 8-figure mark, they're going to have entrepreneurial community. And so that's been a game changer for me. And, I don't have a lot of formal education. I'm definitely not your typical pest control operator by any means. People laugh at me when I tell them I kill bugs for a living. They are always tickled by that because I don't fit the mold. But the pest control industry has embraced me with open arms, and people have mentored me, cared about me, shared information with me. I mean, I've gotten to visit like so many companies. I'll just admire someone's accomplishments. I'll be like, hey, can I visit your company? They'll host me and let me walk around their business and ask all their employees questions. I mean, what other industry is that sharing?
That's pretty special.
It's wonderful. I cannot tell you. I learned, weirdly, I probably learned more about what not to do through those journeys than what to do. But either way, it was so valuable, and they didn't have to share it with me. So I like to pay it forward. I mentor a lot of other entrepreneurs, and Eagles Nest is just a way for me to scale that and give that gift forward. I love to run a meeting. Man, that is probably one of my highest business skills is running a meeting. Okay. And I love a disciplined meeting. And so I love people. and I love connecting with people. And so I've taken all of those ingredients and piled them together and created these very, very special immersive retreat kind of experiences that we have at Eagles Nest. So we'll go away a couple times a year together as a group, and we'll kind of unplug a bit, and then we're going to enter into our format and learning time together. So it's really, really great, very special. And then of course we have an online community that's exclusive to our members where we interact and yeah. So that's a little bit about a very unstructured conversation about Eagles Nest. But why we do it and what our vision is and the purpose behind our gatherings. Because most entrepreneurs are lone wolfing.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Bug Bucksers? Jake here. For over 40 years, Pest Management Supply has been serving the pest control industry. Their second-generation family-owned business has been dedicated to supplying success. With a team of experienced and dedicated employees, including former pest control technicians and salesmen, they pride themselves on being problem solvers who deliver timely shipping and personalized one-on-one service. No bots, no apps, just genuine personal service. Trust them to be your reliable partner in success. Call today at 800-242-1211, visit www.pestmanagementsupply.com, or DM the word distributor, that's distributor, to the Bug Bucks Podcast Facebook page. Now back to the Bug Bucks Podcast.
So would you recommend that, like, if, that people kind of try to follow the pattern of your first group where they're in a market and they just want to kind of create a group? Do you recommend that they do that? Or is it something that they shouldn't try to do on their own?
Well, I'll I like to make a little joke that when I'm in a room full of visionary entrepreneurs and I'm trying to lead their meeting, it's like herding cats or nailing jello to a tree, right?
Yeah.
So because visionary people and entrepreneurs in general, let's just face it, we have our own ideas. We're going to have a side conversation. We're going to go take a walk. We're going to do whatever we want. That's why we're entrepreneurs. So I do think if you did want to just organically start your own group, and by the way, I encourage anyone to do that. If you are an entrepreneur and you do not have a great support system,
Mm-hmm.
and get one. You can create that. You can create community. It's so easy to create community today because of the internet. And then at the same time, weirdly, the internet also makes it challenging to have real connections.
For sure.
So, there's so many ways to create a community, but I think you absolutely should have one. I have noticed there are several different types of groups within
Mm-hmm.
the pest control industry. That have similar kind of peer interactions. And some of them are they just don't let certain people in. So I shared about how amazing and how much open-armed mentorship I've received in the industry, but I've also received some very weird closed doors where I was like, hey, I'd like to be part of this, or I'd like to contribute to this group or that group. And they're like, no, you can't come in here. And so I've experienced some of that too. And so I think it's good. It's good to if you had that experience where you said, okay, I want to go join this peer group, or I want to go participate in this industry, whatever, and they denied you entry, still find your community, find your tribe within the industry, within entrepreneurs in general.
Gotcha.
But I don't think I think if you want to try to facilitate your own peer group, be ready for a challenge because entrepreneurs by design are hard to hold together.
Yeah, it seems like the groups that are the most successful have some requirements. We do in Bug Bucks. We have rules, and it seems like a peer group like that is more heavily focused on interaction. It can be so hard, right? Because on one hand you were saying hey, you're going to get excluded from some groups, and but you need to, right? If I wanted to join that cohort, I couldn't because Maria is in Michigan and I have a branch in Michigan. I'd be kind of hard to find a group to join because of all the states that my business is in. But there is some of that vetting. You don't want the person that just started in the group with people doing over 20-30 million in annual revenue, because the conversations are different. And it's not that they're better than that individual. It's just that the needs are different. And a lot of the stuff that they're talking about, like class action lawsuits and dealing with, large organizations that are trying to wreak havoc on your business. Solopreneur doesn't really understand that.
Yeah, and that's really why I enjoy curating the groups. When a member comes into the group, I spend a good time with an onboarding call and really get to know their needs and where they're at, and then I'm able to align those groups specifically to people who would sharpen one another. But yes, to your point, the revenue journey, the conversations and problems, shift drastically as you go through your scaling process. Yes.
Absolutely. Well, Skye, this has been fantastic. Obviously you've had a ton of success, and it sounds like your groups are trying to replicate that in their own way. And, I thank you for everything you've given to the pest control industry. What can people do to learn more about Eagles Nest if that's something they're interested in? Where do they go? Who do they talk to?
So the best and easiest way to learn about Eagles Nest is to send us an email. So you can request application, request a call with me, request more information, and email us directly at eaglesnestmastermind@gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, I encourage somebody that's looking for that connection with people in the pest control industry, encourage you to do that. Skye, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. I feel like there was a lot of value in this episode, especially when we're talking about, dealing with stuff. So in my book that I wrote, Pack Your Lunch, I talk about the 13 sacrifices that entrepreneurs make. And one of those sacrifices is that we have to go through this process of feeling like we're alone. And I really struggled with this because it didn't make any logical sense at all. I have kids running all around my house. My wife's incredible. I have 20 plus business partners. I have hundreds and hundreds of employees. And there was a day where I'm like, I'm completely alone. And it was so weird because I certainly wasn't, right? That I was one of the least alone people in the world. And nevertheless, I had that feeling. Groups like yours, I think, could help with that. I think one of the reasons I felt alone was because I felt like everything was on my shoulders. People didn't understand. So it wasn't necessarily alone. I was just, no one there shoulder to shoulder with me, even though that still wasn't the case. But having a group like this, I could see how that helps. So thanks so much for what you do. Thanks for joining us. And I'm really rooting for the Eagles Nest and excited to hear more about it in the future.
Thank you, Allan. Thank you for having me on. And congratulations on being awesome. I celebrate all your success.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you so much for listening to the Bug Bucks podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please show your support by subscribing and leaving us an honest 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you, and we'll catch you on the next episode.